Hello my wonderful viewers, welcome to my platform. This is Linda's TV show. If it is your first time of coming across this channel and you like what you see after watching, please subscribe, put on your notification bell, set it to all notification. In that way you'll be able to get notified each time I upload a new video, even those without notification. Here we react to all forms of videos, international and local. Every Saturday by 2 p.m. we have our interaction section. You are free to call in to air your opinion about the happenings in our society. Invite your friends, share my videos with your families and colleagues. Do not keep this information to yourself. Myself, I will be sitting down here to watch this video together with you from the beginning to the end. Then we'll go to the comment section and leave our comment, our opinion about the video we watch constructively.
About that one. Now let's look at the new, what's happening recently. Let me do a little prophetical history. In 1986, there was a prophecy that God was going to destabilize Russia. Because before then, Russia operated a closed economy where nothing went out, nothing came in. You understand me? So, when the time came for that thing to happen, there was a nuclear leakage in Chernobyl, one of the nuclear plants in Russia. That nuclear leakage poured out radioactive materials into the atmosphere that destroyed massive grain reserves that the Russians had. And all the plants that were planted in the steppes of Russia, a lot of them died because of radioactive activities. Now, Russia, by reason of radioactive pollution that has affected their grains, even certain parts of India, Russia now, who had money, who had enough to take care of their people, were forced to look for food from America that happened to be the people that were giving the greatest supply of grain to the whole world. Now, what was the reason why that prophecy was given? Before then, there was this arms race between Russia and America. Remember the years of the Cold War. Now, Russia was increasing her firepower, building more nuclear arsenals than America. You know, they have so many treaties. They have called the SALT I and SALT II Treaty, SALT, the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, which they did the first one and second one. Russia didn't honor it. They went ahead mass producing nuclear weapons. So America had to hold another meeting with them called the MAD, Mutual Agreement for Destruction. They call it MAD. Mutual Agreement of Destruction. That is MAD. But while that was going on, as America was trying to stockpile and Russia was out stockpiling them, America raised up an initiative called the Strategic Defense Initiative, the SDI project. As of that time, it costed about $20 billion to run. Even at American standard, that project was very ambitious and very expensive. And what was the reason? Because Russia was fast out producing America in nuclear weapons. America launched the Strategic Defense Initiative, whereby per any nuclear thermonuclear exchange from Russia, it was the Star Wars project. The American Strategic Defense Initiative will intercept that bomb in the atmosphere and demobilize it so that it will not affect America. They call that the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI. It was the Star Wars. That was the height of it. So since Russia realized that America had built up the Strategic Defense Initiative, they were to produce nuclear bombs that had more firepower. That was the thing. So, but then the sin of Russia then was this. Russia did not allow the preaching of the gospel to enter into their country. So in 1986, there was a prophecy that God was going to go into Russia and bring it down so that people can come in. So the closed economy that Russia had, that nothing went out and nothing went in. Not that they were poor, they were doing very fine. But because of that nuclear disaster in the Chernobyl, the grain reserves that the Russians had were polluted by radioactive materials. And what did Russia do? The only hope of them eating was to go down to America, who has enough grain to supply and feed Russia. That was why in those days you saw Russians on the street, online. They were giving them bread to eat. So America gave Russia a condition that if I'm going to give you grain, you are going to work by my dictates. And the dictate was this, that you have to drop your nuclear pursuit. Russia was already in trouble. And then the promotion of so many breakaway republics, because of hunger, there was no food. Things were going wrong. So the Western nations planned, and Russia had breakaway republics. You had Chechnya, they went away, Herzegovina, Latvia, Uzbekistan, Donetsk, Ukraine, they began to go. And the Warsaw Pact, which was a counter initiative to North Atlantic Trade Organization, NATO alliance, collapsed because Russia couldn't help herself. Countries like Seychelles, Poland, they left. And the Warsaw Pact collapsed. So the only one that remained was the NATO, and being led by America. That was when America became the sole superpower in the whole world. That's what happened. So America gave Russia conditions by which they could give them grain. In that process, God raised a man called Mikhail Gorbachev, who became the president of Russia. He introduced the two principles of glasnost and perestroika, openness and, I think, reconstruction, something like that. Glasnost and perestroika. Now, it was in the time of Mikhail Gorbachev that the Russian republics, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, collapsed. And so many countries went their own. People like Czechoslovakia, you know, all those other, Kazakhstan, they left. And then before Ukraine came out, this Ukraine turned out to be the country that was larger than Russia itself, because what we had before was Soviet Union, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So Ukraine was so strong within the USSR that Russia was not as strong as Ukraine in time, because two of their serious nuclear power plants were located in Ukraine, and Ukraine was highly developed. Do you understand me? So now that put Russia in a tight corner. So America became unofficially the only superpower in the whole world. And now Russia was looking for a way by which they can counter the strength of America. But a problem arose. Inside Ukraine, they were treating a particular group badly. So those people began to complain. Meanwhile, what's his name? A Russian with the president of Ukraine, whereby Ukraine gave Russia access into their land. And that made Russia to have at least a base where they can link up with Ukraine to fight the whole world. So they began to see those areas that Ukraine were maltreating as Russian territory. So they were looking for the slightest excuse to invade Ukraine, and it happened. The invasion of Ukraine is a planned mathematical program carried out by Putin, by the Russian people. And the West knew about this. Just like they are maltreating Biafrans, they kept quiet. So Russia saw the opportunity in a bid to say they are going to defend these people who are their people, because the people said they no longer belong to Ukraine again. Russia came in, and coming in, they defended those people and invaded Ukraine. So the Western nations now started fighting Russia. And what did they do? They imposed economic sanctions. At the early stage, it was very, very effective. Remember, when they had these Star Wars and Russia collapsed, Soviet Union collapsed, for them to survive, they came to America for help. And America told them, if I'm going to help you to give you grains, this is the condition you meet. So Russia became the bedmate of America. Russia became the woman, America became the man. But now, the reverse, there's what you call reverse mathematical engineering or political calculus. Look at what happened. Right now, Russia has invaded Ukraine. The European nations have gotten up to fight against Russia. They are unable to take Russia away from Ukraine because Russia has a program. So first of all, they imposed very stringent economic sanctions. You know what Russia did? They said, okay, this is the time to play ball. 40% of gas supplies that is needed by Europe is supplied by Russia directly. And winter is fast approaching. Remember, winter is fast approaching. And Russia, first of all, told Europeans, not the Americans, told Europeans, okay, this is my turn to play ball. If you want me to supply you my gas, since you have imposed sanctions against me, you are going to buy my gas and pay in rubles, not in dollars. Automatically, the value of the Russian currency shot up. At shooting up, they began to form alliance with other nations, how they can raise an alternative currency to the dollar so that nobody could be held to ransom by the American currency and euro. Do you understand me? That's what they did. So most European nations began, they were forced now to buy Russian gas paying in rubles. That raised up the value of the Russian currency within that area. That's number one. So that gave Russia stability economically because their currency had value. So the effect of the sanctions were very light. They were not as strong as they expected it to be. Rather, it gave Russia an advantage to re-engineer the economic program and re-energize it. That's why Russia is doing fine. Then number two, another problem came up. Two of the turbines that supply gas to Europe, the largest pipelines that supply gas to Europe, comes from Russia. And both are owned by Russia. And Russia declared the other day that one of them is undergoing maintenance. Now Russia said, okay, we are going to reduce gas by 15% because the two are not working. So if one is working, then we are going to reduce gas supplies to Europe by 15%. Now, if that happens, Europe depends solely on Russia so much for their gas. That means the winter that is going to come will kill a lot of Europeans, their elderly people, their women and their children. Europe is saying that Russia is trying to blackmail them into being their bedmates. The way Russia was made a bedmate to America that was sleeping with her, you know what I mean? Not carnal sleeping. Made Russia his wife. Russia now wants to make the whole of Europe his concubines. And he's telling them, this is the condition. If you're going to buy my gas, you pay in rubles. Number two, these turbines, one of them is not good. Both of them are not good. We're trying to fix one. And when we fix one, that one can only give you are going to have 15% reduction of gas in Europe, even though you are buying in rubles. This time it is no longer paying much money. It is the availability of the resources. That is a gradual economic strangulation of Europe. Because once there is cold during winter and there is no gas, many Europeans will die. It will put the whole nation in disarray. So the Europeans are afraid. I'm coming as to why the UN is giving reason why Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally. Because every time we're one step ahead of them, we know what they are thinking ahead of time. Once they send it, we know the next, we don't make that mistakes again. So when you are jubilating about what's going to happen, well, Europe has said they will leave, UN has said they should leave Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, it's good, but remain focused. Don't be carried away. Watch these proceedings analytically. Don't be carried away. Stand on what you are saying. We started with Biafra, we shall end with the Biafran struggle and get it. Nothing, no matter what they dangle before you, don't make that mistake. Read in between the lines. Read the handwriting on the wall. So, what is happening now? Because Europe is in danger. Europe decided that they are going to cut their use of gas by 15% during this hot weather, so as to preserve that quantity of gas that might not be available should that turbine, the pipeline that the Russians are having, should one of them not function. So that it will look as if they never had the problem. So they have to massively buy and reserve. And then for the Europeans, the amount of gas you normally use every day, you have to scale down. So Russia is dictating to Europe, This is the quantity of gas you use per day in your different apartments and rooms and houses. Are you seeing the calculus of Russia? And Europe looked at it and said, okay, what are we going to do? Number two, having seen Russia over the years that they could be treacherous. One, the rubble issue. Number two, this 15% gas issue. Europeans are no longer sure that Russians may continue supplying them gas. That Russia might, at the dying minute during winter, cut off gas supplies. And when that happens, Europe will collapse. So they begin to plan ahead of time. And where else will they get gas easily? Nigeria. That is why Europe is turning her attention from Russia to begin to look into Nigeria to get gas. But there's a problem. The agitation for Biafra actualization has risen to a very high crescendo that what they hitherto ignored, they are forced to look into it and make comments. Why? Because this gas they are looking for is found within the region of the Biafran state, the Biafran land. And they know the Biafrans are so resolved and committed to the Biafran cause that those pipelines will never give them gas. If it becomes expedient, the Biafrans are going to blow every gas pipeline. You won't get any gas. Do you understand? They are calculating. They know this is what these people are planning. So what did they do? They now said, okay, since they've been ignoring Nnamdi Kanu for long. They have been ignoring all the same for long. Nnamdi Kanu has been to the UN, has been to the EU, has addressed them in so many forums, spoken, talked, shouted, read. We heard him. They heard him. They refused to listen. But now that their interest is being threatened and they are saying that they will likely die during winter. I've been to Britain before. They are cold. They are only something else. They have a terrible cold. I was in Manchester when I was invited in a program to go and preach there. So that was where I was. And by church, so I experienced the cold that is in Britain. It's terrible. So what happened? They now decided, in a way to pacify us. You see, all this thing about Obi coming into vying for presidency, they were all planned and calculated. The problem is that the Igbos, a lot of Igbos are so foolish. Any little thing they are carried away. You see, the other time it was articulate, they were jumping. And it failed. Now it is obedient. They don't want to think. It's like they have taken away their brains. And the British people know the average Igbo man very well. You see, the British man has more confidence in the Fulani man than the Igbo man. Why? If the Fulani man says, I am going to kill you, he will carry out his programs to kill you. But if an Igbo man says, I'm going to kill you, and along the line, you make availability, resources, and conditions that are favorable to him, he can change his mind and negotiate with you that he was sent to kill. So somebody that does not stand on his principle in life as a man is not worth dealing with. That is why the Bible says that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. He can never receive anything from God. The average Igbo man is double-minded. He's not resolute. He does not stand his ground. For once in the history of Igbo people, for once, they have rallied around one person, Nnamdi Kanu, because Nnamdi Kanu consistently proved himself to be unbuyable, unbribable, and stood his ground and spoke on behalf of his people. It took him 15 years of constant teaching, lamenting, crying, wailing, weeping, praying, until it began to dawn in the ears of certain Igbo people that this young man is saying the truth. That's a fact. So what did they do? They said, okay, what we are going to do now is, since this political equation is no longer balanced, APC went to Yoruba, contrary to the agreement which they had based on zoning policy, that if it goes to the north, it comes to the south. So they have to share it within the geographical regions, geopolitical regions. But when it came the time that the Igbo man should be the president, the Yorubas became wise and said no. They fought very hard and they gave it to Tinubu. APC changed their program. PDP also changed their program. They gave it Atiku. And that imbalance, that political equation that is wrong, the British saw it as a threat. One, because the Igbos are resolved now to fight to the end. being led by Simon Ekpa since Nnamdi Kanu was rendition. Simon Ekpa is his spokesperson and he's doing his job very well. Now, when that happened, they decided to equate the balance and told Peter Obi, he was summoned to come to stand down in the street. He came and they advised him, go for Labour Party. You know, Labour Party is ruling in Britain. Go for Labour Party in Nigeria. One, to give it to give the equation a balance. Number two, to give the Nigerian election some form of what do I call it? Is it legality or no? Some form of acceptability. Because if the Igbos insist they are not voting and they don't vote, and APC is south, PDP is north, if the Igbos don't vote, it is going to create a constitutional crisis. And you cannot send a governor to go and be a governor in an area where they refuse to vote. If he comes there, they will kill him. No minister will come there. No commissioner will rise from there. No member in the House of Assembly, no local government chairman, no legislator, no senator. They know that it is going to create a constitutional crisis. Such that if you dare superimpose a leader, on what grounds in the southeast they deliberately refuse to vote? How are you going to say, because you can only come into office in a democratic setting being elected by the people. And since nobody elected you, anybody you send coming to you shall be stoned with stones. They'll kill him. So he may stay in Abuja and stay there. Nothing like liaison office, nothing like maybe secretary or anybody coming. The government house will be sealed. So they know this. And they know that the Igbos are resolved to fight this battle this time to win it, whatever it costs them. The mistake done in 1967 to 70 will not repeat itself now. Then we didn't have as much educated Igbos who have resources like we have now. Do you know that the history of the Nigerian war is no longer in the school curriculum? You know why? Because they don't want Igbo young men and women to really read in history what transpired. It was in Obasanjo's tenure that this history was removed from our history books. He couldn't bring it back. They removed it. I don't know whether it was meant to avoid anger, but we were killed. That's the simple truth. Part of the reasons why I tell you that I don't have regard for Obasanjo. He's an enemy to the Igbo people. And so they decided that, okay, what we're going to do now is let Obi go and enter Labour Party so as to give this new arrangement a platform whereby we can divide the Igbos, because you are giving them an opportunity. The APC looks odious to Nigerians because of the massive killings, introduction of Boko Haram into the army, Fulani herdsmen, rape, vandalization and brutalization of people. So people are aware, because the Fulanis did not do it only in their land. They did it in Yoruba land, they did it in Igbo land. So people are avoiding them. Then PDP is a bag of corrupt people also who are also members of APC. You know, they cross carpet day and night, anywhere it will favor them. So he now said, okay, let Obi go and contest this thing. And the youths now were looking for a young man who has a story of not living big. More to that, when you ask Tinubu questions about the economy or the situation of the people, he doesn't give any answer as somebody who has a blueprint for Nigeria's development. The same thing with Atiku. So Obi seemed to be giving a little by his analyzing what happened in the past, giving statistics which is getting from either the World Bank or other financial institutions in respect to Nigeria. So they see Peter Obi as a new messiah coming. But the thing that young people in Nigeria don't know is, one, for the second time they are being taken for a ride. That they don't sit down and think very well, take decisions in their hand and say, we want out. No. These young men are also looking for opportunity for a Peter Obi to come in so that they will work in his government, things will be fine for them. That's number one. And what they fail to realize is that before Nigeria got deteriorated to this extent, there has been a successive execution of planned programs to destabilize this country and make it an Islamic republic for the past 150 years. It has been systematically carried out. So they have succeeded in building structures. They have succeeded in introducing it into the psyche of soldiers. They have retired many soldiers from the Nigerian army who are of the Igbo extraction, who can resist. And they are bringing in Boko Haram people. So the youths don't understand that these guys have their own agenda. You are talking of 2023. They are looking at attacking and overrunning Nigeria before 2023. It is us that know, dear friends. So we are telling you. You say, no, he's obedient. When he comes, he's going to do this. He's not going to do anything. Because these are structures that have been established for more than 150 years. Dexterously carried out. Constantly. Obi as a person cannot run the National Assembly, which is both the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. He cannot. It's evident. All the strategic, sensitive, reasonable position in the army are held by Hausa Fulanis. Obi cannot remove them. If he does it, number 3, the Hausa Fulani have an agenda. Because, let me tell you, the British understand that they have a pact with Hausa Fulani. Obi's running mate, if, let's assume that Obi wins, after 8 years, his running mate takes over. He reverts back to the Fulani agenda. And before this power will come to the Igbos again, it will take another 50 years. By then, they would have killed everybody. Because go and look at this man's antecedent in the Senate, his brother Hakim Baba Ahmed. The comments that he makes, you will understand that regardless of what Obi is talking, these guys have their agenda in their heart and they are very good at carrying it out. I will rather believe in a Fulani man giving me his word than an Igbo man giving me his word. Because the Fulani man will tell you that I will kill you and he will kill you, so I prepare. But the Igbo man will tell you I will not kill you. But he can go behind, even though he will not kill you, negotiate with your killers, collect money, they kill you, his hands are clean. Simple. That's simple too. And so the Hausa Fulani man has realized that as long as money is concerned, you can even sell your father or your mother. Just like the Yoruba man is also very, very treacherous. When you sit down and discuss with him and have an arrangement, at the point where you think he's working with you, he'll back out from you and you become the devil, and he will join the other man and they will kill you and bury you so that he can work with that man. So the British know people that have standards. The Fulanis have standards in terms of carrying out their program. And their program is so much. Somebody said no audio. Oh, excuse me, let me check. No, there's audio here. There's audio, brother. Just a minute, let me check. I've lifted up the audio, so the thing has resumed, sorry. So, the Fulanis know very well that they have to carry out a program being guided by their religion. And the religion tells them that the only way you can rule the whole world is by fighting a war and killing your enemies, subjecting them to run according to your dictates. The Christian faith does not teach that. The Christian faith is by persuasion. So, since the British man understands that the Fulani man is very good in carrying out his agenda and is not interested, as long as you give him that power, he keeps milking, he can give British his own, so that Britain will support him to subdue you forever. So the plan of 2023 will not come to pass, the election, because the Fulani knows that they have their own program for 2023. To see that Nigeria is leveled, they take over by force. So they decided now to go and release Nnamdi Kanu. They went to the UN. So that the Igbos, first of all, Obi was a distraction. That's number one. Just like Zeke was a distraction to...
Thank you so much, my wonderful viewers, for watching this video together with me from the beginning to the end. Like I said before, if you like what you see here, if you like what I do in this platform, As you have finished watching this video, please hit that red button that says subscribe and put on your notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. Share my videos, leave your comments in the comment section constructively. Until I meet your way again in my next video, I still remain your Linda's TV show. Bye-bye.